Hi everyone, Nicole here today for Lawn Fawn, and I have a card showcasing the new Cheery Christmas stamp set, part of the Fall and Winter Lawn Fawn release. And what makes this card so much fun today is it's an interactive card that showcases some light up elements. So I'm going to make those Christmas lights in the deer's antlers light up with this awesome LED light up kit. You may have seen it around other crafters using it, and it is so super fun. This is the first time I've used it, so I'm going to kind of show you a few things I found while using this kit to maybe help you out if you want to try something similar. To create this light up element, what I decided first was to take some of the dotted rectangle dies and die cut them from smooth white cardstock. One's going to be the front panel, one is going to be the back. And I decided to use my Misty to stamp this reindeer and the lights in for the antlers there, using the Misty on both the front panel and my back panel. And the back panel doesn't have to be super nice and neat because what I need here is just placement. If they're stamped exactly the same, which the Misty will provide that, I will know exactly where to use or put all of those elements from the LED light up kit on the background, back behind where I'm going to do all of my coloring. So that's what I'm doing here. In addition to stamping the reindeer, I am using my Misty to stamp my greetings, not only to line them up, but I want the word bright on the front panel to be where you push to make those lights in the reindeer's antlers light up. So this is I love my Misty for lining things up. I'm using the lobster red ink to stamp the word bright. That's really all that I need to stamp on the second panel. And then I'm going to do my coloring. So I'm coloring in the reindeer with some of my favorite Copic markers for coloring in critters, or my Copic marker colors for coloring in critters, and that is E40, 43, 44, and 49. The 49 is used very sparingly. That's for the hooves and for the antlers. Very, very light, or not much of that in there, but it adds some wonderful depth and dimension. I love these colors. If you follow me or have seen some of my other videos, you probably know I use this particular color combination a lot. I've been asked quite a bit recently what my favorite Copic colors are. And while it's kind of hard to narrow down, I tend to gravitate towards the same colors a lot. So this particular color combination works for so many things. I really like those 4 brown tones. The R00 is great for adding a little pink to the insides of the ears and the cheeks. And then I'm just simply going to take several of my favorite primary colors to color in the light bulbs. I'm not even going to do any shading since that's the light up element. I just simply want to lay down some color. It's a very, very small area anyway. So I have R24 for red, Y08 for yellow, and B24 for the blue. And I'm just going to alternate this. This works particularly well for this kind of light up card because the starter kit does have lights that are red, yellow, and blue, as well as white. So I'm going to be using those colorful lights there. Another great way to help kind of ground your images so they aren't, floating out there is to add a little color there. So I put down some warm grays so that it looks like my reindeer is sitting. Now this is the LED light up kit. I am not sure that I'm going to say the name right. I think it's Chibi-tronics. I might be pronouncing that incorrectly, but it's got some great copper tape, which is going to conduct the, it's going to be your conductor there from the battery to those lights. It's about 1/4 of an inch wide. I'm cutting it in half. I've seen lots of other crafters do this as well. Basically, it just makes it a lot easier to work with, to bend and move so that you can create that great conductor to your battery. I'm going to need a battery housing as well. So I've just trimmed a piece of cardstock. This doesn't have to look great. I'm going to put my plus and minus on there so that I know which side of the lights and the copper tape go to the plus and which go to the minus, as well as which way to lay the battery. And then I'm going to simply adhere this right to the word bright. So it's just a little housing for the battery. Then I'm going to take that copper tape and just basically lay that down in a line around the light bulbs. And you can bend it back on itself. You can see I'm doing that here, and then just continuing to lay it down. You want to create a little track down to the battery housing compartment. So by stamping my images on this background panel, it really kind of helps me know exactly where everything needs to go. You're going to want to flatten this either with a bone folder or your fingernail just to smooth it out. You're going to get a much better connection that way. And you do not want to cross your positive line with your negative. So you don't want those to touch at all. However, they need to be fairly close together so that those little lights there you can see to the left will touch both the positive and the negative. There are little marks on each of the lights that show the positive to negative. Now my tape tore just there, and that's okay because you can just lay it right next to each other and continue just as long as it's touching and not crossing the positive side, because I've already done that. That was the first line of copper tape I laid down. This is going to be the negative. So I want this to go around the front of my battery housing unit to the inside because you want it to touch the negative side as well. Again, I'm going to use my bone folder and smooth that all out. Now here is kind of my trial and error. I found that my little lights weren't all lighting up, and I'm going to leave that in because I want you to see it. Now I put that light down the wrong way. You have to follow which side's the negative and which side's the positive. So I started laying the lights down. I wanted them to coordinate back to the light bulb, so I of course want it to go red, yellow, blue, yellow, red, blue. I had to lay a little bit more copper tape down to see if I could get that to light up. I had to maneuver them a little bit. So I'm having good luck with the yellow and the blue, but my red is just not wanting to light up. And when I moved it, it's lighting up. So I know it's not getting a good connection. And that's simply just user error. I probably didn't get my lines very good there at that first one. So I will fix that. I just keep testing it as I'm laying everything out. I found that some of the lights, you could overlap them a little bit when you're placing them along the copper tape, but not too much because then they don't light up. So I'm starting to see that they're somewhat working. And I was testing it there to see what happened. So I'm going to I even tried one of the white lights, and that wasn't it. So once I realized that it had to be something with my connection, I went ahead and fixed that, rearranged it, and that is working good. Now I need to set up something around that battery compartment to hold the battery in place. And really, to get it high enough with this particular foam tape from 3M, you need about 3 layers, which is quite a bit, but I don't want that light to be lit up permanently. I want to be able to press that and have that light up feature be an interactive element for the card, not a permanent element. Now, my connection wasn't good. So you see how the tape is wider there? Down near the battery, or down in the battery compartment, I just added more copper tape, and I found that that wider tape really, really helped with my connection. I'm creating that little housing for the battery compartment, placing foam tape all the way around, again, just layering it with 3 layers. The other thing I found was I wish I would have made the battery compartment wrap around so that little tab doesn't get stuck on the foam tape. It keeps getting stuck and it keeps making the lights stay on, which you're going to see when I get the card all put together. So I'll show you how I fixed that here in just a little bit. Before I placed my front panel on, I decided that I needed some of those cute ornaments from the Cheery Christmas stamp set, and I'm going to stamp 3 of them down there along kind of that line that I colored in with Copic markers, that grounding line. And you could either color these in with Copics or other markers or colored pencils or whatever you're using, but there's solid images that fit inside these as well. So I chose to take some coordinating Lawn Fawn ink colors and ink up my ornaments. Makes it really quick and easy. And I coordinated those back to the Christmas lights as well. I like to stamp it off on some scrap paper a couple times first. And that rounds out that whole image. I think it just adds enough more color to really add some interest to it. Now I went ahead and attached this panel to my background LED light up panel. I'm going to press the button and it lights up, which is so cute and fun. But because there's so much foam back behind there, I feel like the lights aren't showing through real well. So I did remove my front panel and I poked some holes through the light bulbs with a piercing tool, and I'm going to go ahead and put my panel back on. I did have to use like a little undo adhesive remover to get it off so I didn't tear it, but you can see it's still sticking. And this is what I really wanted to show you, because this is the part where I realized that I was going to have to do something different if I didn't want those to be lit up the entire time. It's going to make the lights burn out, and that's no fun because you want the recipient to be able to have that interactive element. There was where I did those little piercings, and you can see the lights so much better. If you didn't have quite so much adhesive, you could totally see it through the paper, but I think the adhesive just keeps it a little too high, so I thought the little holes there would really help the light show through. What I decided to do was grab a little scrap piece of paper, and I am going to wrap a little tiny piece of cardstock around that battery housing unit. This is where I was saying I wish I would have done this to begin with, because it really would help that little battery compartment not stick to the foam tape. So I wrapped that around, and that is going to work great. I'm going to replace my front panel now, and now you can see when I push the button, it lights up, but when I let go, the lights go out, which is exactly what I wanted. Now that I'm completely done, I'm going to go ahead and triple up some more foam tape and just place them around those two sides up near the top. And that gives it a really nice profile. I'm going to take the Simon Says Stamp diagonal stripe background stamp and stamp that on some red cardstock card base. Just a little tone on tone with some Versamark ink to add some interest to the background. The light up feature is definitely the wow feature of this card. So I don't need a lot, but I just wanted a little texture to my background. And there's what it's going to look like, and I can go ahead and attach that. I felt like my little grounding line maybe got lost a little with the addition of the decorative ornaments. So I'm going to just go back in with my warm grays and color those in and darken that line up just a little bit, maybe extend it out past those ornaments just a tiny little bit. Very quick and easy. I start with the darkest and then work from the mid-tone to the lightest to blend it out nicely. And it's just so fun. Isn't that light up feature awesome? This kit is rather expensive, so I wouldn't do this for a ton of cards. But for those special friends and family, this would be such a fun holiday card to send. Thanks for joining me today for this light up Christmas card showcasing the Lawn Fawn Cheery Christmas stamp set. The supplies I've used are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more Christmas themed projects showcasing Lawn Fawn stamps and dies that you might be interested in. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.